Good stuff. Good stuff. I yeah, just well done. Like it's been a while, but like it's been a while since like I felt like man, like this is really good. Like I like how they handle the character. I was really nervous because like it looked like they were gonna go in a drastic change with some things, and I was like, okay, is this gonna like affect things thematically? Is this gonna be written weird? And like everything's kind of on brand. It's interesting how they kind of go at things from new angles, but I like how the story didn't. The story felt like it was gonna go one way a lot of times, and then like kind of did, but also kind of didn't in a way that kept you guessing. We're like, oh, okay, that kind of works, or okay, that's different, but I like it. And like this, okay, that's more of a modern equivalent of how that would kind of go. So I liked it a lot. I really liked I think the character interactions were really good. I think people talk, act very, I don't want to say very real per se, but very like, yeah, I could see that going that way essentially. But also, it's still a comic book. I like Peter. I think he does a really good job of really feeling like Spider-Man, but still feeling like, high school Spider-Man. I think they do. I like how, I like how he's really smart, but it's not just like, he's not just a nerd and it's like, oh, it's just lame. It's like, no, you're really smart. And like, that's actually really cool because like being smart's a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, it makes sense that he like him being smart isn't like weird. It's like, oh wait, you're smart now. It's like, no, he's just a really smart kid. He's gifted. He gets this thing. He gets this program. He's always the smartest kid in class. He doesn't have to like study for stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think all that's really cool. I really like it a lot. I think the villains are pretty. I mean, the villains are okay. I think it feels like villains are almost kind of like sub antagonists. I feel like not life, but like just kind of conflict and difficulties is like the main antagonist, and the villains are kind of just garden variety, whatever. Yeah, I agree, especially at first. But yeah, big fan. A lot of little Easter eggs thrown in and little things sprinkled in that you like, and they're going to expand on a lot later, but also like, oh, that was nice. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, really fan. I mean, my thing too is like I think that what one of the best things they did that was so like I really think everyone's like oh this animation style oh I don't know how they changed this character and that and I like how they made changes but didn't like make that the point of the show. You know what I mean? They weren't like yeah Doc Connors is a woman and you're gonna like it. It was just kind of like oh yeah Doc Connors is a woman. Okay, moving on. Like yeah, right. Because at the end of it, we all know she's going to be a giant lizard. Like that's all that we care about. You know what I mean? Like the other part's kind of irrelevant. cinema. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Like I especially when like the stories kind of like like their stories start together, kind of diverge and then come back together at the same time too. Cause really that's like it's really interesting how the season ends with both like Spider-Man being embracing the city and also Tombstone embracing his new life as like the new head of the gang or whatever. And it's like, oh man, like I really like how both of those were catalysts with taking down Scorpion. I think that's really interesting. Yeah, yeah, I know. And thematically, it's going to be really cool. Like, especially, I liked how so far this version of Peter, like, I mean, he's still a nerd, but like he's like a lot of the people, they don't treat him like crap. He's just like, he's just a really smart kid. And like Lonnie specifically, I like how they had this really positive relationship where it's like, hey, nah, he's cool, he's really smart, and like he works with me, and like we're cool. Like, and I like how obviously they're gonna use that later as a, extra emotional with when he has to go against Tombstone. But I think it's really interesting how you build up these characters in ways that are like, oh yeah, they're actually really likable. So when they turn to the dark side, like, yeah, it's annoying because like, like for the first handful of episodes, you're like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, but then it's like, okay, well, we're already here, but now it makes more sense now because now you're like stuck in it. But mhm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really I like the potential this show is gonna go into. I really like how they've really taken their time setting up a lot of future characters. I like how they set up Doc Ock, but like again, he didn't even really have an interaction with Spider-Man yet. He's just fully set on Norman. I like how they set up I mean they're setting up Norman perfectly, you know what I mean? It's going to be really interesting to see that dynamic. I mean, we saw little tweaks where he like sent the glider prototype in to save him. I'm like, oh, that's going to come in handy later. Like, oh gosh, and yeah, really like that. Also, the symbiote stuff with the whole Doctor Strange. Also, the Doctor Strange like future thing coming back from the first episode was actually a really nice touch. I thought that was really interesting. So yeah, because I remember when the show first started and that happened, I was just kind of like, really? Like we're just throwing out Doctor Strange like that? And now I'm like, oh, and it took me a while to make that connection too, because I was like, Wait, they're going back. Wait. Oh, that's why all of it makes sense. But it's like it's weird. It's a paradox now. So Spider-Man's only Spider-Man because the spider that made you Spider-Man was found and cloned, and then made you Spider-Man. Or that originally is what it was cloned of, and it's like, oh, paradox. Like, oh gosh. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, like, listen, there's so, I mean, like, I've seen enough Flashpoint stuff that I get it, but it's just like, it's just kind of like, okay, that is a cool way of doing it, though. I do think that's interesting. Right. Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I thought it was fine. I mean, obviously, oh, he's black now, like no one cares. But like, I mean, I think I like how they wrote him because again, you only really know him from Peter's perspective. I like how they wrote him as a good guy, a visionary, but maybe there's a little like, okay, maybe there's some moments where you're like, okay, that's a bit harsh or that's a bit much, and you kind of like, since it's still Norman, he's still a scumbag. You're kind of just like, okay, yeah, this is how like this is how people who like trashy people like see them. It's like you see them for all their positives and like their innovation first, but you're also like, oh man, that doesn't look great. And then like when he's doing other stuff, you're like, there he is. There's Norman. Like, but I like how they set him up. Like, you don't immediately think he's a bad dude until you see him like in his true element. Yeah, like that was like that's what I'm saying. Like that was like that. And again, I'm here for it. That was a lead petty. Like that's some super villain stuff. Like he's not even the whole villain yet. He's doing like that's really intense stuff. Like this is the stuff I imagine that other business like the evil businessmen be doing to other businessmen. They're like, yeah, my company's awesome. You're in a shack in jail. And guess what? I'm seizing all your stuff. So now all your stuff is mine anyway. And I'm like, bro, you're like, I'm not even evil, and even I want to rip his neck. You know what I mean? So like, I get it, man. Like, and it's stuff like that that's so like it's so well done because again, like Norman totally deserves it, but like when Doc Ock gets out and eventually tries to kill him, but like Spider-Man still has to save him because like, no, Mr. Osborn's great. He's my best friend's dad. He's helping. He's like, bro, Spider, like respectfully, bro, kind of deserves it. He's just see, you say that. I mean, they could, but see, every like I always think that's gonna happen. They always write it so well. You're like, oh, maybe this is the time, and then it's like, and then sometimes they write it where they even make you think, like, yeah, it's Harry, and it's like, nope, it was Norman the whole time, just like it's supposed to be. You just watch the hands. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely don't make Norman do it because he definitely I feel like you see the obsessive drive in him already to just like not only be good but to prove he's better. He has this like calm demeanor on the outside, but on the inside you can tell he's like not a psychopath, but he's like he is this compulsive obsession with proving his superiority, and I think that's going to definitely drive him to go Goblin style because like yeah, I see that happening, and I'm really excited for that to happen too, just because man, like especially this is the first time, like this is one of the first times I can ever remember where he knows his secret identity basically off rip. So I'm really interested to see how that goes as far as like their dynamic because he's not gonna just you know like well if he knows you're Spider-Man, he's not gonna be like, hey man, like he's gonna be like, all right, here's the deal. You're either gonna chill out or I'm gonna kill Aunt May, and that's gonna be like the start. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to see where we go from there. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I love it. I love that because you for a second you were like, nah, he ain't going. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons too. I think he's gonna be the Green Goblin because it's like, yeah, yeah, I like he's like again, he's close. There are good things about him. There are things to admire, but it's that one difference, the great responsibility, great respect. Like that one difference is like all of that takes from being taking that power and using it for evil instead of for good. And I'm so excited. Like that's so good. Yes. I mean, you would think. I mean, I don't think. I mean, this feels like a show they could easily crank, especially only doing 10 episodes. This feels like something they could crank out pretty easily. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of disagree with you there. I kind of like the batches, and here's why. When it's a 20-minute episode show, I would rather have more than one episode to watch at a time, especially if it's like not arcs per se, but like clumps of story. Because like I think when you have a 20-minute episode and a week in between it each week, little moments don't feel as like yes, it gives you time to still think and digest things, but it's still enough to like okay, we don't have to just get a little it's like getting one sample an hour and try and turn that into a meal. It's like okay, give me enough that it's like multiple courses still. And I think I like that a lot. I don't it's new, but I like that personally. Okay. Yes. Yes. No, that was a huge issue. Now I agree with that. But see, my issue with that is that's just poor advertising. Like you can fix that. I don't know. That was terrible because that happened both times they changed it. Because like there was a bunch of stuff. I'm like, oh, I guess Daredevil's going to be in this next episode, even though like, I didn't want to know. Like, because again, watching the episodes if I didn't like know Daredevil was coming up soon, that reveal would have been insane. You know what I mean? Like that really kind of robbed some of my joy. Like, and again, we knew he was in it somewhat, so it was like, yeah, but it still made me upset because I really would have loved if he like looked on the rooftop and it's like, oh dang, like but I yeah, that they definitely need to fix. But I mean, I feel like other than that though, I feel like that's fine. Like you could still have the episodes in there. I just think, yeah, the advertising for that was bad. They did that multiple times, but I don't know. I am open to other shows that are 20 again, only for 20-minute shows. If it's like a 40-minute or something, yeah, one a week is fine. But for like a 20-minute short, because the episodes are kind of short, especially when the last like 7 minutes of the runtime is just credits anyway, like every Disney Plus show. So it really is like, I mean, it feels like it's not a lot that there's time for that. So I'm all for it as far as the clump early, or maybe they could do twos. Maybe that'd be better. They do because again, if a show like if they have 10 episodes and they do just sets of two, that's still 5 weeks ongoing, which is plenty of time for the show to hype it up and talk about it, in my opinion. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. But I, don't know, I think a happy medium would be in there because, like, yeah, you don't want the Netflix treatment where it's all released at once and then we talk about it for 2 days and then never again. But you also don't want the oh wow, we're still talking about this like 5 seconds because I feel like that's happened with shows where it's like 20-minute, like especially with anime, it's like especially like if you get a dud episode too after waiting all week and it's like a clearly like not as interesting episode or nothing really happens. It's just building up towards the thing we know is coming. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, that's what you don't want. I'm not saying that like this show had any episodes like that. I'm just saying, we can't, we don't know if every season's going to be like that. And also, like, you're going to have, I mean, there's probably going to be at least one episode that's not as interesting as the others. Or if we know something big is coming and this isn't the week we address it, okay, I guess we'll wait another whole week. And like, and like with the highs of hype between weeks, there could also be the low of lulls too. Like, we go a whole week waiting for an episode and then and then it's a disappointing episode. Then it's like basically we're waiting 2 weeks for an episode because nothing happened in the last episode. But I don't know, a little bit of both. Yes, that was terrible. Yeah, I hated that. Yeah, I don't get why you would do that. Just keep the first banner the whole time. Yeah, that's all. Like, I don't. Yeah, I don't understand. Like, like maybe if the show was like over, but like I no, like wow, like don't put spoilers to episodes that just came out on the banner. Like that's terrible. Like that's like that's some of the worst stuff I've ever. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember a show ever really doing that before. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Dude, I love the show. I always complain about it takes so long, and then it comes back, and I'm like, I take back everything I said. Dude, I, this like so far, this first half of this first season has been really good. It is. I like the action still on point. The voice acting is really good. I love the like dilemma because like I see both sides kind of, but then you're like, no, that doesn't make sense. But then you really think about it, you're like, okay, no, but I kind of get where he's coming from. Like, but then you're also like, oh, but that's kind of messed up. You're like, yeah, but also considering, yes, yeah, yeah. So honestly, man, like I thought about it. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm with Cecil 100%. Honestly, the more I think about it, because and for a couple of reasons. So reason number one, and my biggest reason that I'm with Cecil is because Mark is already the strongest being on the planet, just like straight up. And there are people way stronger than him, as far as we know, who just can show up at any point. So no, we're not just gonna be like, all right, Mark's got this. Because if we just don't like, I'm not like, I understand, like, oh, that's messed up, they're evil, but like, you're either you kill them or you use them. You don't just put them in jail and have them rot and waste time. Like, you either execute them straight up, which is, in my opinion, kind of messed up, or you're like, hey, we can use this to help save potentially the planet and all that. And also too, like the thing with like I like the thing with the I forget what the guy's name, but the guy making the like animatronic like people, like they they are deceased soldiers that we're using again essentially. So it's kind of like, not okay, yeah. I have no idea why they're so strong or why they're not just robots. Maybe it's, I don't know. I mean, that's obviously comics, but like I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But like I guess my thing is, no matter what, it's like they are a very powerful resource that clearly can be mass produced, and they have some effectiveness. So like yeah, and also too, my thing is, now I know people are like, oh, but you shouldn't have done the whole like, what is it, Sonic thing in his head, which I am on board with within reason. Now, I think you should have told him for one. I think that's messed up that you didn't tell him, which I get it, but also like, like I would say as a precaution, I'm not trying to say you're your dad, but if you, for any like my biggest thing is, it's always with the Superman thing with like, you might be, invincible. But if you get mind controlled, or if somebody like switches by, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's out there. Aliens have powers. Like, I don't know what's out there. You can get mind control, someone could steal your body, anything. And then we're just like, oh, we can't leave the safety of the universe and just, don't worry, I'm a good guy. Because last time we did that, we almost died. Right. And it's kind of like, and again, and even for me, and also, that's not even the point. I mean, it's like, even if every mark was good, it's not even that like, it's like for me, it's the kryptonite thing. I don't keep kryptonite to make Superman like know his place. I keep kryptonite just in case something goes wrong with Superman, or if some other Kryptonian shows up and wants to take over the world. You know what I mean? Which in this show is going to happen. So it's like, and I understand Mark feels personally about it, but it's also like, I mean, you're like 19, so you're not thinking like, I don't know, something about being an adult. You know, I know we're talking about cartoons, but it's like the older you get, the more you're like, man, you are not thinking like an adult. You are really thinking like a kid. Like you're not. I just want to hang out with my girlfriend. I'm like, bro, you're 19. Like, what do you do? Like, exactly, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, like you're extremely powerful. We can't just pretend you're not, And I think, and I think that's really important. That's what I'm saying. I think it's really important that you just understand. Like Mark's making it very personal, and that's a very immature thing, and that's kind of why it. Like I'm with Cecil because Cecil's not looking at it like yes, I think Cecil a little bit is going overbearing and kind of like a I own you thing. I think he's doing that a bit much. But I don't think it's at a point of like to make a point to Mark. I think it's more of like a listen, man, this isn't about you. This is about saving the world. And yeah, I kind of get Mark's, but at the same time, now we're seeing with Oliver, he's just kind of like, he does whatever he feels like, and you can't really stop him. So it's kind of like, yeah, this is why we do this because you might have good intentions, but one bad day and you're, slicing people's heads off again. So who knows? Like, we're just, I don't know. Bro, if this show has taught me anything, it's always worse than you think it's gonna be. Cause I mean, because my thing is like, yeah, I mean, he's a kid and he just casually and again, like the first one, you could be like, okay, that might have been an accident. The second one was completely on purpose, like 100%, like just putting somebody down, like so. And the fact that you felt no remorse, no emotion, like it was not even like a anger. It was just like, yeah, I just didn't feel anything. He just needed to be put down. That is like crimson red flag. Like, oh no, bro. Mhm. Yep. Fully grown. I know. And the scary thing too is if the Villager mites find him, bro, it's over. Like because he's so easily moldable right now. He's like any negative influence on him, and he's gone. Like you're not getting him back. And that's so scary at this point. Like I don't know. And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, there's other heroes, but it's like it feels like Dragon Ball Z. It's like, yeah, there's other main characters, but like if you're not at God level, you're kind of not a character anymore. So yeah, I mean, like Immortal, kind of, but like not really. The rest of you guys are basically fodder. Like, yeah. I don't know. It worries me, but man, but it's written so well. You understand everyone's motivations. Everyone reacts like I don't know, like they everyone feels like a real person. You know what I mean? Like everyone, like even though you're people you either don't agree with or you think that's the wrong choice, you're not at a point of like, oh, no one would ever say that. You're at a point of like, oh yeah, this person's so lost. But I could see that them thinking that way. Yeah. 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 It, rightfully so. Mhm. Yeah, it's good, man. Just you watch every episode, like it's got to the point where like me and my brother we watching it and we have to pause to like discuss something that was said for like 15 minutes. It's that like oh the plot's that meaty, man. It's just like gosh, this is good. But man, it's great. Mhm. We'll see. I'm listening. Okay. Is it the same people and everything? Like creative? Okay. 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 I'm listen. I like. I mean, I like me some My Adventures with Superman, so I'm good with that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's gonna be great. Honestly, it's almost surprising they didn't use like a backdoor pilot here. 'Cause this feels very like something they would do. Like she just kind of like that. Maybe that episode they go in space, they just like run into a Green Lantern for like half an episode, and then if that episode does well, right? That feels like how they always do it, right? Mm. Hmm. I'm all for it. Yeah. Yeah, did not see that coming. Did not see that coming at all. Yeah, that's kind of my thing. Like, I'm not against Starfire getting a show outright, but like, I don't know. Like, that feels, I don't know. Like, I don't really, yeah, I don't think most people know anything about Starfire outside of her being a Teen Titan. Like, I don't really, I mean, I'm sure there's Starfire comics, but like, are there? You know what I mean? Like, probably. No. Honestly, I mean, out of the main five, that'd probably be my fourth choice, to be honest. But yeah, yeah. Now, when we say team, do we mean like a new one, or do we mean like the OGs? Okay, but it's okay. Yeah, I do. Okay, yeah, that's pretty staple. Yeah, I feel like the comic version of the Teen Titan, like the core five from like the show that everyone knows, but also having like the other essential sidekicks like Kid Flash or like Wonder Girl. Yeah, like kind of thrown in there, like also is really important too, because I feel like maybe if it's like eight, I know eight or something is like more for a TV show, but I feel like if we're making an actual, because even like I think Young Justice did it a lot better. I know they didn't have the Titans in the same way, but like kind of like it made more sense the characters they had. Yeah, like Aqualad, they tried to get Speedy, they got Kid Flash. I mean, Miss Martian's kind of a that was more of a stretch a little bit, but like I would have thought like because I always thought it was interesting how like oh, we're not doing like Wonder Girl till like later. It's like I feel like Wonder Girl would have been one of the first ones, but whatever. It doesn't. It works obviously, but I'm just saying. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll see. I don't know. Teen Titans show. It's always hard to be the next thing after something else is great. So like, we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Yep. Yep. And you know what's crazy? Everyone would have preferred a woman to woman game over Kill the Justice. But here we are. I know. I know. Mm. Hmm. That's amazing. Yeah. Wait, you can do that? You can patent a game feature? Like, really? Huh? That's a concept. You can't how do you patent a concept? That makes no sense. You're that's like that's like I mean that's like Konami trying to patent like a card game. Like I don't even like that doesn't make any sense. Like I mean I understand we can't like use Pikachu, but like you can't be like, yeah, you can't use like balls with creatures coming out. Like does that like what about like I don't know, man. That feels very like you paid someone to say you could do that. Like that doesn't make any sense. Yes. That'd be amazing. I'm stealing that. I don't even care. That doesn't make it. Why would you patent such a cool concept and then not use it? That's so evil. No information. Yeah. Nothing. Nothing. I mean, they're literally like teasing this game so like people have interest and then using that interest for their other games that fail and then like it's like I don't know, man. Like game because games now are getting announced with no work done on them and then they just sit in development limbo for years and years and then oh yeah, this is coming out either 10 years after we announced it or it's just not coming out. I don't know, man. I just Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they should, but I don't know. It's weird too because like you don't like it feels like they're trying to like it's weird because it's like you're pandering to an audience that isn't there. And then it's like, hey, no, why don't we do this? And they're like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And it's like, we're telling you we would spend money on this. Right? You would think so. No idea. Uh, mm-mm. Assumed. Right. I mean, they don't have to. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is one of those things where it's kind of like the fans get in their own head about like, oh, it just has to be this thing I like theorize. It's like, well, like, no, but even though maybe that is probably a better idea in total, but it's also like, well, they decide. Mm, mm, yeah. Mm, yeah, I mean that's my good. Oh no, good. No, I mean I think it is good to like try new systems and try things, especially with Pokemon. You've been doing, they've had so many games over the years, so it makes sense to try new things. But like, we'll see what works, see what doesn't. If it does work, maybe lean into it more. And then you're like, oh well, the strong and agile types. You're like, well, well, but Yeah, let's see. Like we'll be getting it regardless. I do one thing. I don't know if you saw this. I think it dropped today, but Shrek 5, like little teaser. I have to. I have to. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. What are your thoughts? Yeah. For me, it's like it's not even that they look bad. It's just they don't look as good as the ones from like 20 years ago, which is kind of you I guess bad because it's like, how do you not look as good as like what 2004? Hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I do think there's a good chance a lot of this is gonna like change and things are gonna be altered. Like, I don't think obviously this is the first teaser that is receiving a lot of instant backlash, so I do think there's a good chance they're gonna be like, okay, back to the drawing board. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's a good chance. Yeah, there's a really good chance that they just kind of like, yeah, okay, we got bullied into making this work. And I think it's important too because one, I think you have to realize that like Shrek is extremely iconic and like the meme culture alone is going to make this $1 billion if done correctly. So you got it. You can't fumble that. And I think too also like yeah, I mean if you do this right, you can make more essentially. Like you can just restart with Shrek and people will go see it. Shrek is too. Yeah. I mean, the Shrek memes are insane. Like you can really capitalize off those. So I think putting in that extra effort would be interesting. I do think how they go about it and what the story is going to be about, and whenever that gets started, is going to be a big factor. I do worry about that because there's not a clear direction where to go, which means when there's not a clear direction, a lot of times that opens up the possibility for picking the wrong direction. So that is, mhm, yep, yeah, I think they will. That's all I got. Take care.